Salute, MobTube. How is everybody today? Let's see who we got here. M. Soretti, Dave, Miss Can't Be Wrong, Love for Steel, Rolex and Race Cars, Alex, let's see, really, Miss Can't Be Wrong? It doesn't work? You need the link, I guess, who needed it? Alex, you need the link for the oh, there it is. Miss Can't Be Wrong has it. Let me know if it works. If not, I'll drop it. Joseph Montanaro, Jesse Roth, Eagle Plumber, Brian Bozak, Joe Root, William Brooklyn, Davis Dean. Did I get to you? I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's Randy West. How are you, my friend? Salute. It's not working. All right, I got it. Hang on. I got to do it from my phone. Bear with me today, guys. I'm not in great shape today. I actually just came from the doctor. There it is, Alex. Try that one. That should work. No, it's all right, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Yeah, I went to the doctor at 12:40. I was there for a little while. She switched around some medications and stuff. They tested me, they're sure I have COVID, but they tested me anyway for COVID, the flu, something else. I don't even know what the other thing was. So I'll have the results in a little while, but I mean, there's obviously no question that I have it. I don't even know why they tested me, honestly. But thank you, William Brooklyn. We're not. Today is another rough day. I feel horrible today. I got next to no sleep. Shanna feels terrible. It's not good. But I'm gonna make it through this show if it kills me. What's up, Frank? How you doing, buddy? I wanted to go to sleep. That's all I wanted to do. But I was determined to do an addiction and recovery show today because it is Tuesday, and I'd like to stay on the schedule of Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:00 if I can. So here we go. All right, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna get through this no matter what it takes, and then I'm immediately gonna go to sleep afterwards. And then tonight, as long as I'm up to it, and I think I will be, I am going to destroy, verbally annihilate a big hillbilly in Texas. All right, so you can look forward to that. Lucky Luciano, salute. How you doing? So, guys, I'll tell you what. You can help me out today in a big way. All right, my head's all over the place, and I'm not feeling good. So I don't have a specific topic for this show. So how about you guys give me an idea or tell me what you want to talk about? Because really, these shows are about you anyway. They're not about me. If I could ever stop drinking iced tea, I'd probably lose a lot of weight, but it's so delicious. Let's see. Sorry, guys, if I'm a little boring right now. It'll get better. So let me get some ideas from the chat. If not, I'm sure I could think of a story to tell you. I actually was thinking about one thing. You see, Convict Inc. is out of rehab for meth. Is that true? Like, you know that for a fact, Cobra? Because I'm not even familiar with you. Wife also left him. Is this true? I'm curious. Does anybody else know anything about this? Or am I being trolled or played with here? Ah, Mob Entertainment Group. How you doing? No, Jesse Roth, I refuse. Anything diet, I'd rather die than drink anything diet. Well, maybe not die, but I'd rather just drink water. Not sure if it was meth, but he was in rehab. FBS, I've been hearing that. He was in Harvard House. Well, I hope he got the help he needed. You know? He's a horrible human being. And if he died tomorrow, I wouldn't feel a thing. But hope he got the help he needed, I guess. Rehab for drinking. Oh, okay, Mob Entertainment Group. Thanks for letting me know. You've been hearing he fell off the well, yeah, that was yeah, absolutely. I mean, he basically told me that himself. No, not really, Alan. But since I don't follow him, I don't pay attention. His wife is still with him, he said. All right, well, whatever. Hervaven Gill. How you doing, buddy? I haven't seen you in a while. The movie Out for Justice, how Richie fell into drugs and bad company. They had the scene where Richie's father said he worked the subway and did all the right things, and still his son fell into drugs. You know, I don't remember that movie. I remember when it was being filmed, though. It's right by my grandmother's house. Um, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. But I don't remember. I loved it when I was a kid. I loved it. I don't remember shit from it anymore. That and Marked for Death. I loved those movies. I just don't have much of a recollection. Yeah, without a doubt. Evil Plumber. Uh, he credits Lee for him going. Really? Yeah. Okay, sure. Lee. My parents did all the right things, and my brother fell into it. Yeah, that could absolutely happen. Oh, that's good, William Brooklyn. Glad to hear that, bro. But yeah, Miss Can't Be Wrong, back to your comment. Um, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Parents think that they have a lot more control than they really do. Kids are, and even adults really are more. Well, I guess you say more with kids. They're more influenced by their surroundings, as far as what they're doing when they're out of the house, things like that. Their friends, you know what I mean? Their social life than they are by their parents. You hear it all the time. You hear it pisses me off too. You hear parents say, "Not my child. My child would never do drugs. My child would never do this. Would do." You don't know what your kid would do. You have no idea. What do you mean? Just because you raised them right? Listen, I wish it worked that way, but it doesn't. It's the luck of the draw. It really is. I've seen the most stable fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Like established square fucking couples you could ever imagine have kids that are a fucking disaster. And I don't just mean with drugs, I mean with all kinds of shit, violence, gangs, you name it, whatever. Just the street life in general. Then I've seen the worst scumbags you could ever imagine raise a fucking genius who wound up becoming some sort of professional and a real somebody. You know what I mean? There is no telling. There's no telling. There's no listen. There's no definitive book on parenting. You don't know what your child's going to turn out like, and you always got to keep an open mind because if you're one of those people that sees wacky behavior out of your kids and thinks to yourself, well, there's no possible way he could be doing drugs or something, you think again because yes, there is. Yes, there is. You can't keep an eye on your kids 24 fucking hours a day. It's impossible. You can't. So I hate when people say that. You know what I mean? I hear it a lot with well, yeah, maybe I shouldn't get into that, but There's another issue I hear that with a lot, and it bothers me then too. FBS rehab won't work for him. Can't rehab stupid. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna knock him on this show. You know what I mean? But listen, that guy has done some horrible things. You know what I mean? Especially to me for no good reason whatsoever. Before I ever really had a bad word to say about him. So, I don't care about that guy. But if he needed help and he got it, good. It's a step in the right direction. Who knows? Maybe he was a dick because he needed help. I don't know. I don't know. But if he got help, that's good, man. My parents didn't know anything once I left the house. Oh, of course not. No. Mob Entertainment Group. If Convict Inc. really went to rehab, is now reformed, he needs to do a show saying sorry to FBS and everyone else and admit his long term issues with drugs require him to stop his channel. Well, it's up to him. My parents partied all the time, and none of us ended up with drug addiction except the stepbrother that lived with his mom. Well, I'll give you an example. I've said this before. My mother was always against drinking, always against it. Okay. For good reasons, for things that happened in her childhood and stuff. You know what I mean? She was around somebody who was always drinking at one point. Even as a little kid, she'd be dragged into bars and stuff, and she hated it. She hated alcohol. She hated drinkers in general. And I mean, every now and then, like I said, usually once a year. You know what I mean? If I take her out to dinner or something, she might have a few sips of a cold beer. She likes to taste a little bit, or she might have like a little bit of a martini, something. But again, a few sips because she has zero tolerance for alcohol. You know what I mean? As soon as she starts feeling it, she don't want to drink anymore. She never liked it and never did a drug in her life. They never smoked weed, nothing. My dad, the same way. Was never into drugs, always dead set against them. And I remember seeing him drinking only on one occasion. And then that's at one point, my brother had been severely beaten. His lungs were punctured, his ribs were broken, his nose were broken, his nose was broken, his cheekbones. He was in the hospital for weeks. And the night that happened, my dad got wasted and went after the guy that did it. You know what I mean? And fortunately, the cops stopped him because they were there when he got there. He probably would have killed the guy. But that's it. I mean, my dad, I can't remember another occasion where I saw him drink alcohol. And he hated drugs. Always raised me not to do drugs. It's funny. You guys remember that first Scared Straight from like 1978? My dad would show me that all the time. He thought that it was strange parenting. My dad thought that he could show me mafia movies, Pope of Greenwich Village, Mean Streets, all these different movies, and then show me Scared Straight, and it would like counteract the fucking mob movie. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe that's not the right word, but because the mob movies when you're a kid, that's exciting. It's, you know what I mean? Kids look up to those guys. They like that gangster shit. You know what I mean? They're impressed by it. Like guys in the movies, they got all the girls and the jewelry and the clothes and the money. Kids are turned on by that shit to an extent. You know what I mean? But my dad thought that he could like the antidote to that was to or anecdote, I'm sorry, was to show me Scared Straight, and then it would scare me out of considering any type of criminal behavior in my future. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. And I was right the first time. Antidote. I'm sorry. I can't think, guys. I can't think. I can't. I'm in a fucking COVID fog. But that's what my dad would do. It was weird. It was weird. But my brother turned out to be a very heavy drug user when he was a teenager only. Only. He was running around Glendale and fucking Woodhaven and Ridgewood, and he was fucking involved with gangs and all kinds of shit. and he was, doing a lot of fucking drugs. And then, um, probably even for a couple of years after we moved here, I think he was. Yeah, he was because he wound up in White Deer at one point. But in his adult life, nah, in his adult life, alcohol. That's it, and very little. Like my brother till this day, he'll drink on a special occasion, but he don't drink much. But he had a little bit of a drug problem when he was younger, and I had damn near a lifelong drug and alcohol problem. So it has nothing to do with parenting. It has nothing to do with parenting. It's just like I said, it's the luck of the draw. It's your kids' surroundings, their environment, the friends they hang around, their social lives, things like that that determine how they're going to turn out, or at least influence how they'll turn out. My parents didn't party at all because they both had alcoholic parents and they wanted us to grow up different. Yeah, that's kind of similar to my situation. Uh, with my parents, my like I said, not so much. Well, my father was just my grandfather was just a street guy, so my father dealt with that his whole life. My dad would come home from school, and the FBI would be raiding the house on DeKalb Avenue. You know what I mean? He dealt with that, not so much the addiction stuff with his parents, but my mom, like I said, she was around an adult who was a heavy, heavy drinker. You know what I mean? And she was around a drunk a lot, and she just hated it. Till this day, she can't stand being around drunk people. My parents didn't want us around if they thought my friends' parents drank to excess. Um, or anything, we couldn't hang out at their houses. Well, that's a good choice. Where's Tatum? I didn't even see him. Where is he? Oh, right here, right here, right here. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I never saw that name. Oh, Brian Bozak, FBS. What I meant by that is he said he did a lot of years of it. Now he got a taste of freedom and potentially went back to it. Was there an earlier comment? I don't even know. Oh, this. Well, that happens a lot too, Brian Bozak. Like, people like say you get locked up when you're an active addict. You know what I mean? Say you get locked up, and you were still in that addict state of mind. And I think Convict Inc. even said that he did some drugs in prison and shit. Yeah, there's a good chance that once you get a taste of freedom, you're not done yet. You're ready to go right back to what you were doing. And plus, people truly are developmentally stunted by prison. That's just the way it is. Okay. I've seen it with a lot of fucking people. I've seen it with a lot of people. My brother did a lot of prison time. A lot. And since he was a little kid, he was getting locked up all the time. And I saw it with him. It took him a long time to kind of grow up, you know what I mean? And of course, now he's doing well in life. He's established. He's got a beautiful family, whatever. But it took him a long time, and I know of one guy in particular who went away when he was 19. He went away for 15 years. He got out a few years ago, and he's still a fucking knucklehead. You know what I mean? He hangs around kids that were his age when he went to prison. Like, and he's 38 or some shit like that now. I mean, it's because he's still in that mindset. They don't grow up in prison. They stay at exactly whatever age they were when they went in. That's at least if you were young enough. You know what I mean? If you go in there as a kid, a lot of the time you will come out of there as a kid in your mind. You know what I mean? You fucking I don't know. It's like time slows down. My father took me camping once in my life as a kid with his buddies. I saw them in a circle smoking weed. I didn't want to talk to my father for a week. I was pissed. Yeah, I bet. Heck yes, in Scarface, he has a pile on the table. I don't have issues. I wanted to put my face in it. Oh, yeah. I told you. I think I was watching that movie the first time I ever did cocaine. I will in a little bit, Jesse. I'll make it through this. I'll be all right. I just feel bad for you guys because this show will probably suck because I feel like shit. And I'm sorry I was late, but I was trying to catch up on this dickhead, this fucking Idaho killer had his hearing today, his extradition hearing. I'm trying, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Hervé Van Gill, I did drink and it took over a certain part of my life. But just like yourself, I walked away from it and I live a better life now, bro. That's good, man. That's good. That's what always happens, bro. People get clean and sober and their lives get better. They really do. You know, I knew this one kid. Let me tell you guys about this dude real quick. I lived with this guy for a while. We were I guess you could say roommates. We rented a house together. This guy's name was Mark. Okay. Now Mark and me were complete opposites. Okay. I mean, if you even saw this kid, big goofy looking bastard, he was like 6 feet tall, fucking thin as a rail. And he was real feminine about it too. Like, the guy would fucking watch this diet like a broad. Like if you went up 2 pounds, he would get frantic. It was like Howard Stern type obsession with his weight. He was very feminine, this guy. He was like a bitch, you know what I mean? So to speak. He was a weakling of a guy. He didn't know how to fight. Anyway, he was from a very, very wealthy family. Okay. Wealthy. I mean, I remember one time he was talking about his house, and he actually said the words "the East Wing." I said, "The what? Your house had an East Wing? The fuck?" Like, yeah, that type of dude, And he was an arrogant, cocky motherfucker because of it. Now, here's the thing about Mark. He would have never gone to jail or prison in his life. He wasn't a criminal. He was not a street guy. This is the type of dude that would have never seen the inside of a prison or a jail without um, the presence of alcohol and drugs in his life. Okay. He was an extremely heavy drinker. I mean, a full blown alcoholic, like real bad. Okay. And he just was racking up DUIs. Now, this is how I met him. I didn't know him at that time. He was racking up DUIs. He eventually got his fourth, and I believe it was a hit and run. And they sent him to Camp Hill State Prison for 2 years. Now, he sat in jail for like 9 months before that because his parents disowned him immediately. They wanted nothing to do with him. Like that rich people, you know what I mean? They don't give a fuck. I almost think real rich people have kids out of obligation more so than, the desire to actually have kids. They give up on their kids real quick. And he got his fourth DUI. He got sent to prison for 2 years, flat sentence every day of that 2 years. So when he got out, he got put in a halfway house in York City, and he had to, get a job, obviously, because halfway houses, you got to pay for your own shit. Plus, you got to pay to be there. So he got a job at this cookie factory that I worked at. Huge it's Stouffer's. It's in York here. It's the fucking factory that makes animal crackers. You know what I mean? And cheese whales and all that shit. Enormous fucking factory. I mean, they make Walmart's baked products, all that shit. Okay. So at least cookies anyway. It was a very good job. I've talked about this job before. I loved it. I wish I still had that job. Anyway, he got a job there while he was in the halfway house. That's how I met him. Years later, for a bunch of different reasons, we wound up renting a house together, right? And he this was actually after I, was diagnosed with the heart failure and stuff. This guy was so bad. Now, I didn't know how bad I should backtrack a little bit. While he was working there, once I started selling cocaine again, okay, he was a big customer of mine. Big customer. Like he would get a couple of 8 balls on a weekend, or he would just buy grams off me. You know what I mean? Like all weekend. But usually I would bring him a couple of 8 balls, whatever. You know what I mean? Quarter ounce, whatever. But I didn't charge him like, I charged him like fucking retail, basically, not wholesale. So I would bring the shit over and he would be wasted, just wasted with a big half-gallon bottle of vodka on his fucking dresser or whatever. So he started getting back into drinking and coke after prison. And then when we wound up living together, oh my God, this guy. And there's a reason I'm telling you this story. This guy would go on binges. You know what I mean? He would get a half-gallon and he would ask me for whatever, 3-4 grams. Sometimes I'd give him a bowl, sometimes I wouldn't, whatever. And he would go on a weekend binge. And while he was drinking, he was the most happy, upbeat, just pleasant guy to be around until he got a little too much in him for the day. And then he would be emotional. He would be falling all over. I remember he fell and split his head open on the corner of a wall once. One day I come home, I find him, he's unconscious on the kitchen floor and he pissed all over the fucking floor. Yeah, like he pissed himself. That's how bad he was. But here's the thing. When he wasn't drinking, he was the most miserable motherfucker you could ever imagine. I couldn't even stay there long. I wound up having to move out. As a matter of fact, well, I'll get to that another time, but the dude was you walked in the house and you could feel the negative energy. I mean, miserable. Like he wanted to die. He was only happy when he was drinking. And that's why I brought it up, because we were kind of talking about, like how most people's lives get better when they quit drinking. This guy, if he wasn't drinking, and he was like, I damn near want to call him an incel, because this is a guy who could not get a girl if he tried. Big, goofy motherfucker, pale skin, big, bright red lips like a clown. It was so fun. My mom saw him one time and said, he looks like a fucking clown with that pale skin and those giant red lips and this fucking like platinum blonde hair that he kept like an 80s, hairband. Like nuts. He couldn't get a girl. And he was bitter as a motherfucker at me because I always had girls over. You know what I mean? I always had different girls over on the weekends and shit. And he would fucking hate it. He would hate it. I remember one time I had this bad bitch over there, right? And we were all sitting on the couch and we were talking. And she asked me for some coke or something. And he was like, oh, after she left, he was like, now I get it. They just use you for the coke. I'm like, bro, she paid for that. They don't use me for shit. I use them. But that goes to show you he was always looking for an excuse as to why I could get the girls and he couldn't. And he couldn't simply because he was a miserable, angry motherfucker and he was awkward looking and he had a shitty personality. You know what I mean? So he would drown his sorrows, but he was such a coward that when his parents finally started to allow him back into their lives, that he would go out of his way to hide his alcohol use. He would swear up and down to them he doesn't fucking drink. I remember it got to the point where they were a real big Christian family. So they started going to church. He would go to church with them on Sundays. He didn't have a license. He couldn't get his license back for like 10 years or some shit. So they would pick him up and it was a weekend. So he would be obliterated or he'd be going through withdrawal and he'd be like this. You know what I mean? And he would do all this shit to cover up the smell on him, cover up his breath, everything. And then he would, he's like in church, trying to get through church without them noticing he's been drinking. It was just, what a miserable life this guy lived. I said, you know what? Listen, if I was, and I was at the time, I was, an active alcoholic and stuff. Anytime in my life, if I'm in that situation, I'm not hiding it from no fucking body. You know what I mean? What's the point? You can't for long anyway. But that's the type of dude he was. He knew his parents would just give up on him. But what a miserable motherfucker. I'm telling you, man. That time living with this dude was like, it was the worst. It was the fucking worst. When you're in a situation like that, where you live with a angry, negative motherfucker, going home makes you sick to your stomach. Because as soon as you walk in that house, it's just going to be an awkward silence and that negative energy in the air. Fucking miserable. I had 22 years of active addiction and 13 years clean and sober. I can't stand drunks anymore. I hear you, bro. To tone. I will in a little bit. I'm not going to stay on real long today, guys. I hate drugs and alcohol now with a passion. Yeah, me too. I was thinking about it earlier when I was trying to decide what to talk about on this show. And I'm telling you, absent of like the couple of occasions, like when I was in my, not Miami, but, at the Hard Rock in Florida and shit with Shanna, and we were, in the pools and all that stuff. And a couple of occasions where like we were in the Poconos and I was around alcohol a lot, minus those few occasions, I don't crave alcohol. I mean, period. Not at all. When I think now about drinking, I don't think about the fun part. I don't think about the first few hours where you're just floating and you're fucking euphoric and you're so happy. And no, I think about the next morning. And that terrifies me because I never want to feel like that again. Never. You know what I mean? Just the thought of having that hangover feeling again gives me nightmares. So I really don't miss it. I don't. I'll tell you the truth, man. I crave cocaine more than alcohol. You know what I mean? I crave cocaine more than alcohol. But even that, I don't even consider because I know that you can't do one without the other. You know what I mean? It's just a package deal. When you're an addict, you just got to stop everything. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. If you didn't stop everything, you're not recovered. Now, here's the thing. Some people with weed and shit, I don't judge. Like I personally, if I smoked weed in my recovery, I would not say I'm in recovery. I would say I'm still an addict. That's just me because people are addicted to weed mentally. They're not physically, but mentally. I see it. Last night, I was talking about a guy, you know what I mean, who can't get through an appearance on my show without, hitting a bong. Like, to me, if you smoke weed, you're still an addict. You're not in recovery at all. You're an active addict. But I don't look down on people who do because, first of all, let's be honest. Of all the drugs, weed is like, But other than that, I know that certain people need it to maintain their what's the word? Their I guess I could just say, yeah, well, I'll just say abstinence from the more, hard drugs like heroin and cocaine and stuff like that. So I understand. Like if weed helps you stay off heroin, by all means, smoke weed. If you have chronic fucking pain and you can smoke weed to make that pain go away rather than shove opiates down your fucking throat, smoke weed. If you are an insomniac and weed helps you sleep rather than, being addicted to benzos, smoke weed. That's why I don't judge anybody. If they smoke weed in their recovery, that's cool. It's just me personally. If I say I took a hit of weed today, as far as I'm concerned, I relapsed. That's it. I have no clean time. I'm starting over. That's how I would feel. So, my father was a captain for a tuna clipper. He never drank when he was at sea, but when he was home, he would go overboard. That's funny. A tuna clipper overboard. Yeah, you get it. Especially when his Navy buddies were around. It made my mother furious. Yeah, I bet. I bet. Some people can do that too, man. They can completely and totally function while, during the work week, whatever, or at least while they're at work. But then when they're at home, they just have to be drinking. I had a real good friend back in the day. I loved going to her house. Her parents didn't give a fuck what we did. As soon as my father got wind of what I was, or I'm sorry, what was going on, I couldn't go there anymore. I was like 13. Well, can't blame him for stopping you. Alcohol and drugs nearly killed me, and I was homeless at the end. I checked myself in a rehab and have been clean and sober ever since. Oh, at least you're clean and sober, bro. Congrats. I don't know why I just never felt the need to do drugs. Even as a teenager, my friends would be partying. If I felt like partaking, I would. If I didn't feel like it, I would just make sure they were safe. Well, that's good, Jesse, and that's what separates you from an addict. You know what I mean? Because addicts, they don't really have that option. I mean, you could choose never to start, but once you start, you might not be able to choose whether or not you can stop. As an adult, I might drink 3 times a year, and then it's 1, maybe 2 drinks. I never felt the need for excess. That's good. It's very good. Last time I drank is at my sister-in-law's. I'm sorry, it was my sister-in-law's idea. Got me tequila, and you heard the song "Tequila Makes You Push." Who are we talking about, Jennifer? Mark? If you're talking about the guy I was telling the story about, as far as I know, but I'm not sure. Listen, when I fucking moved the fuck out of there, I never spoke to that dude again because I just couldn't. It is one of the most toxic people I've ever been around in my fucking life. You know what I mean? It was bad. Matter of fact, see, that's the funny thing. These people talk about me living in a hotel. Like, they don't even understand that was partially by choice. See, what happened was when I was getting out of jail in 2017, I had no place to go as far as a home plan and stuff. Okay. My friend, Mark, was living in this house and decided that, maybe he could put me on the lease and I could be, a co-renter, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? I could also be a tenant and pay part of the rent and whatever and live there. I said, cool. Right. And that's what happened. We wound up, basically renting the place together. He had already lived there, like I said, but everything was split and all that shit. Both our names were on the lease, all that good stuff, right? But he was drinking that way, okay? And I was on probation. Actually, it's considered county parole because of the crime and the sentence. That's how it works here. I wasn't even allowed to be around alcohol. This guy would have the recycling bin filled up with 5, 6 fucking empty half-gallon vodka bottles. If my PO came over, I was fucked. You know what I mean? I was ruined. Then he started having his friend who just got out of state prison hanging out over there. And this guy was on state parole. So I'm like, this guy, I'm going to we can't even be around each other legally. You know what I mean? Like, it just became too toxic of a situation. So I left. But at the time, my credit was still shot. There was no way I was able to get an apartment. I would have to get an apartment within a couple of days. I just up and left. I had to go some fucking where. So I went to that hotel, not because I was Tony Pizza, homeless on the street or something. I had to get out of there right away before it wound up getting me locked back up. And a hotel isn't like an apartment. You don't need a credit check. You don't need none of that shit. You could just move right the fuck in. As long as you could pay for it, you could stay there. So that's why I wound up at that hotel for 8 months. You know what I mean? Lee and these people like to talk like as if, I was completely and totally homeless. No, I technically had a house. I just couldn't stay there anymore. You know what I mean? I couldn't. It was gonna be the end of me. So It's as simple as that. I never told that story in full, but I always said, it had to do with my home plan, but it did. That's why. Because my home plan was to be living at 847 Boundary Avenue with this cocksucker. You know what I mean? And it was bad. Plus, I mean, like I said, I would come home from work after third shift and there would be, and this happened on more than one occasion, there'd be bullet holes right through the fucking window. You know what I mean? I had this recliner in the living room I used to sit in all the time. I came home from work one morning, good old York City, and right above the top of the recliner, probably where my head would have been if I was sitting there, there's a bullet hole in the window. I see it from outside. What the fuck? Me and Mark had to tear this fucking living room apart until we found the bullet. It actually went through a desk and was lodged in the wall. You know what I mean? And you don't even call the cops or nothing. You're just like, all right, I guess we got to fix the window. Another fucking bullet went through it. It's just a bad situation. I did coke twice and never. I'm sorry. I did coke twice and didn't like the way it made me feel. Never did it again. That's good. That's good. That's the way I am with weed. But I wish I would have been that way with coke. I wish I never liked it. Unfortunately, I fucking loved it. What do you mean cheating? This can't be wrong. I agree with you. I believe to truly be in recovery, you have to be abstinent. I'm sorry, from all substances. Yeah, I think so. Oh, okay, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Oh no, Miss Can't Be Wrong. No, it wasn't that. That's why to be clean and sober, you got to ditch them, pay all the rent, and live there. Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? It was just. It was. I didn't even care. I just wanted to get the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? Like we got in a fight one night, and I punched him in the fucking face, right? And he fell down the stairs of the stoop and hit his head. And I honestly thought he was gonna die because he hit his head and he was so fucking drunk. And I had a friend who fell and hit his head drunk and died because he had a brain bleed. You know what I mean? So after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna wind up either killing this guy or something, or I'm just gonna get locked up again. Luckily, when this fucking motherfucker who was blackout drunk woke up, he didn't even realize what happened. I just told him he fell down the stairs, but it was a bad situation. I knew I had to get myself out of there. No, I couldn't be at peace. Nope. No, it was terrible. It was terrible. You know what I mean? It was fucking miserable. It was miserable. And I was doing my best at the time to stay at least somewhat clean. I'd do a little coke here and there. You know what I mean? Maybe once in a while on a weekend I would drink. You know what I mean? But I was doing my best not to be too bad because of my probation. You know what I mean? I knew that my PO could stop over at any time or call me at any time, want a piss test, whatever. I just did 8 months or 9 months. I'm sorry. I don't fuck around when it comes to uh going back to jail. You know what I mean? I was fresh out of there. I didn't want to go back. I did not want to go back. So I was being careful. Yeah, back pretty much. He he didn't question it because the guy fell all the time. Now, I told you I came home one day just as I'm walking in. He's walking towards the kitchen, so his back is towards me, and he falls and he hits his head right on the molding, like I said, the corner of a wall, but like the molding of a door, basically a doorway, and he fucking split his head right open. He fell down the fucking stairs one time. I'm telling you, and this was like 18 steps, like a regular stairway. I thought he broke his neck. Had to call an ambulance. Wound up in the ambulance. I'm sorry, in the hospital overnight. They had to X-ray him. The way he landed like this against the wall. I thought his neck snapped. He was that bad. It was fucking crazy. It was like even I never got like that. I would get wasted and pass out. Or I would do some coke and sober up and drink a little more and continue the cycle. But this dickhead would just get fucking obliterated. Nah, this can't be wrong. It's miserable. It's fucking miserable. If you're trying to stay clean and sober, being around people who party is the worst thing that you can't do, and it makes it so much more difficult. Yep. Yeah, it's a terrible situation. You know what I mean? Now, in the long run, when I wound up moving into that fucking hotel, after a few months of being there, I got off probation and I wound up going hard again. You know what I mean? I had FMLA at my job. So I was allowed to call off 3 nights a week with no penalty. Matter of fact, you hear something fucked up. The company was so short on employees and they couldn't afford for people to call off that they were offering like $100 a week perfect attendance bonus, right? This is, you want to hear FBS. Because I had FMLA, they can't count that. They can't even count that as a call off. You cannot be penalized, period. So I would call off 2-3 nights a week, and they would fucking have to give me my perfect attendance bonus at the end of every week with my paycheck. I'd get the extra $100, and I would laugh my ass off. You know what I mean? I'm missing 8-9 days a fucking month, and I'm getting a perfect attendance bonus every week. You think I tried to correct them on that? No. Like, I'll take it. Yeah, that's what I would do. You know what I mean? I would, like, I remember one time I got up, I did a little coke, and usually I could do a little coke, and I'd just go about my day and night and function. I could manage it as long as I was only doing, just enough and not too much. But one day, I don't know why, maybe my anxiety levels were up or something. I don't know. But I did a little coke. I got in the shower and I just started geeking. So I went to the gas station up the road and I got some beer. I went back to the hotel and I was like, all right, I'm going to drink a couple of beers just to level out. Then I'm going to go to work. No. I wound up fucking taking the next 2 days off too. You know what I mean? I was fucking I just went on a binge, and I got real bad when I was living in that fucking hotel for 8 months. I got bad. And then something happened that really put me in a fucking depression. It was actually right in the beginning of June of that year, 2019. And that's when I went on a suicide mission. I was fucking taking bags full of Ativan and just drinking like crazy and wishing death upon myself every fucking night. And then you know what happened next. June 21st rolled around, June 20th, actually. I got to rehab on the 21st, right after midnight, 1 a.m., something like that. But June 20th rolled around. It was the end of a 4-day binge. I woke up with that girl, you know what I mean? And she filled me in on everything that went on, and I checked myself into clarity way. That's it. Oh, yeah, Miss Can't Be Wrong. The human body is an amazing thing. Oh, yeah, Miss Can't Be Wrong. You know that laugh. Hell yeah. It was funny as shit. I would get my perfect attendance fucking bonus. It was great. When I was in rehab, I got it. I got it every week. Because I was in a union and shit, you know what I mean? And I had medical leave, and they couldn't penalize me for it. So I got the $100. Even though I was actually getting paid through the insurance company, whatever, because it was short-term disability, I would still get that $100 deposited every Friday while I was in rehab. It was so fucking funny. Hadn't been at work, for 3 weeks, and it was crazy. I had it all set up. You know what I mean? I set up that FMLA once I was a year in, and I never really took advantage of it till that last, year or so, though. Then I was taking advantage of it. Let's see. My luck don't work like that. Well, listen, this company I was at, everybody was finessing something out of someone or the company itself. The reason I found out about FMLA is because there was a girl, this little Puerto Rican chick from East New York, that, moved to York City, and she was working there. Me and her were real close. Real close. And she told me about how she got, because she would call off and I'd be like, I don't understand. We have a point system here. How the fuck do you call off and nothing happens? She said, oh, I got FMLA. I'm like, what is that? And she explained it to me. I said, how'd you get that? She was like, I have anxiety. So I'm allowed a certain amount of days a week off for my anxiety. Bells started ringing. I was like, hold on. You're telling me if you have a medical condition, even anxiety, you can tell the company, get some medical paperwork sent to them, and boom, you have all this time you could take off. You can even be paid for it in some situations. She said, yeah. I said, show me exactly how to do that. Because I happen to have a pretty serious medical condition. Oh, shit. Motherfuckers were getting FMLA for everything. You know what I mean? For everything. I got no comments coming in. Always had my probation officer go to my lady's house. Oh, yeah, it's terrible. Like, and the way they are here, man, I'm telling you, all they have to do, and they do this all the time, they'll come check your recycling bin. No bullshit. And and it's dangerous because it's a setup. Like, say your neighbor doesn't like you, okay, and knows you're on probation. Your neighbor will drop off empty, beer cans and shit in your recycling bin and then call your PO. I've actually known people that's happened to. And that's all it takes. Like, say my PO came over and saw an empty vodka bottle in the recycling bin. I'm getting cuffed up and I'm going to jail. Period. No questions asked. So I couldn't live with this dude. I couldn't. I'll give you another example. When I was on house arrest in 2008, I think, 2007, 2008, something like that, had to do 90 days house arrest. I lived with two badass college chicks, okay? They went to York College. One girl was actually my girlfriend. And the other one was the roommate who, from time to time, was also my girlfriend, depending on the occasion, okay? And they were younger than me and stuff, but they were heavy fucking drinkers. And it was the same situation because they were party girls. They didn't do any drugs, but they drank like a motherfucker. I remember one night I come out of the bedroom and my stupid roommate, Lindsay, this bitch, is on the fucking floor of the living room. Fucking this York Revolution player. York Revolution is like our minor league baseball team. Yeah, well, she picked one of these guys up at the bar she worked at and brought him back to the apartment. She's boning him on the fucking carpet in the living room with a big fucking half-gallon of whatever the fuck bottle. I don't even know what it was. It might have been vodka. I don't remember. I flipped out. I'm like, bitch, you're going to get me locked up. Like, what are you doing? I'm on house arrest. They can come here at any fucking time. And they were always drinking too. I was a nervous wreck all the time. You know what I mean? It's terrible. Yeah, when I was younger, my union local 1205 Teamsters paid for me to go to rehab in PA for 28 days. But they didn't pay me in PA actually for 28 days, but they didn't pay me for it. Super nice place, too. Bowling Green of Brandywine. I've heard of that. I don't know much about it though. But yeah, they will do that. My union. See what they were doing is I got put in clarity way before I even notified my job that I was going to rehab. I actually got a hold of them the next day from rehab and told them I had to go to rehab. So my union right away got a hold of me and they said, listen, we'll pay for you to go to a place, but we can't pay for you to be where you are now. And I said, well, where do you want to send me? And they wanted to send me to, I can't remember if it was Florida or California. I think it was California. Okay. But I'm quite sure it was some shithole rehab because they were even saying, they said to me, we could pay for an entire month at this facility, but we can't pay for the place you're at now. So think about that. I was roughly 30 minutes away from my job, my house, whatever. okay, in a rehab here. It would have been, this rehab was so expensive. I told you guys, it was between 45 and 55,000 a month, depending on your room. Okay. They could have flown me to California, Florida, wherever it was, and put me in a rehab for 30 days and flown me back. And it would have been cheaper than the rehab I was in just 30 minutes away. And I knew when I weighed the two options that it was going to be a shithole, obviously, for that very reason. So I said, nah, no, thank you, guys. I'll just go through the insurance and stay here as long as I can, because I was in love. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, Miss Can't Be Wrong every time. Plus the stained carpet. Set up a drawer and put clothes in it. A few necessities. Probation guy is good. Let me see. Yeah, it was. Listen, if I ever, I lived a wild lifestyle. I really did. I really did. Like, there's so many fucking stories I could tell, but some of them, have to be at least redacted. You know what I mean? But crazy shit. Not just with the addiction. I just had a wild life. I look back on it all the time. Like, if you guys, what you're seeing right now is a Chris Lodrago that up until a few years ago has never been seen. Like, I was a fucking wild man. You know what I mean? I was crazy. The fact that I don't even really go out at nighttime, you know what I mean? I never even hang out with my old friends. I don't go to any type of bar or drinking establishment. I don't do any of the shit I used to do. Like, it is still kind of a shock to me. You know what I mean? It is. Even, I'm not going to lie to you guys, married life is a struggle to some extent for a guy like me. Because there's times where I just want to get up and go to a fucking casino by myself, or go to a strip club, or go take a trip to Vegas. You know what I mean? Where I get these fucking like ideas, and I'm like, man, I want to do that, but I can't really do that anymore. You know what I mean? It takes a while to get used to, because I was always a fucking nut. I was a rebel. I did whatever I wanted, even in relationships. I didn't give a fuck. I did whatever I wanted. Nobody told me shit. You know what I mean? But now I got to remind myself, like, nah, that's not what a fucking married man would do, Chris. And I tell Shannon that. She knows that. You know what I mean? I get these ideas. Like, there was a time when Tony Pizza put my daughter's picture up, and I had actually snapped, and I was going to go to Florida that day. You know what I mean? I even, planned it with somebody who may or may not live in Florida, that I was coming there, and, we're going to go find this dude. And, of course, Shanna caught wind of this and stepped in real quick. And it's probably a good thing, you know what I mean? But if I was a single guy and I didn't, have anybody to answer to, so to speak, or anybody who depends on me, that's why I say I'd be dead or locked up for the rest of my life now, because there's nothing that stops me other than people that I love. That's it. In my 20s, my first marriage was crazy. FBS, I know what you're saying, though. I do. Yeah, it could be, I talk to other guys like this all the time about this stuff. I talk to, like, Howie and Frank, and, you know what I mean? SoFlo, different types of people that lived the kind of lifestyle I did. You know what I mean? Just doing whatever the fuck we wanted. And how different it is now to just kind of be relaxed and domesticated and just, you know what I mean? Yeah. At that point, Miss Can't Be Wrong, I might have killed him. You know what I'm saying? I might have. But, listen, I got in a big fight with Shanna. I told her I'm going, period. I don't care what you say. I'm going. And then luckily a day or so passed, and, I calmed down a little bit. But I saw what it was doing to her, how stressed out she was and stuff. So, I believe this is why people are put in your life sometimes. You know what I mean? Same thing when my daughter was born. It slowed me down a lot from the fucking maniac that I was as a teenager and stuff. Slowed me down a lot. My goldfish keeps me on the straight and narrow. There you go, bro. Even if it's a goldfish, something has to, right? What's up, Ghetto Press Productions? All right, guys, listen, because I feel like shit and I need to get some sleep and I'm planning a big show for tonight, I think I'm going to, yeah, you have to, but I think I'm going to shut this down for now. Feel terrible and I'm tired as a motherfucker. So thanks for being here, guys. I'm sorry if this was a shitty addiction recovery show. I did the best I could for you. Talked to you about your comments, fucking told you some stories, whatever. And now I'm out. All right. I'm going to bed, guys. 10 o'clock, Ghetto Press Productions. Wait, let me read this first. Wise Guy TV. The only bad thing was the driver they sent to pick me up tells me if I buy him a bag, he'll take me to cop, and took me to North Philly to cop before he dropped me off. Are you serious? Holy shit. Wow. What the fuck? That's crazy, bro. Holy shit. He probably worked for the rehab too, right? Yeah, the show will be at 10, Ghetto Press Productions, so I'll see you then. Someone else did the same thing. He did the same thing for after me. End up telling on him he got fired. Oh, shit. Oh, someone else he did the same thing for. There's a weird period there. After me. End up telling on him he got fired. Oh, I got you. All right, guys. Thanks for everything. Here, let me put this up. Write this number down and the other one too. But 988 is pretty easy to remember. Okay, write that down. Put it in your pocketbook, your purse, your man bag, your wallet, your pouch if you're a kangaroo, whatever. Put it there. Stuff it in your bra. Whatever you need to do. Have it with you just in case. At all times. It can't hurt. Keep it on your fridge or something with a cute magnet. You know, whatever you got to do. All right, get a fat bald Sicilian magnet and stick those numbers to your fucking fridge. All right, guys, thanks for everything. I love you all. And until next time, salute.